Terry Carter, and I'm here with Emily Harper, and we're with the University of Georgia's Cobb County Cooperative Extension Office. Today, we're going to be talking about holiday plants and how to care for your plants. We have several plants that we'll be going over today, so let's get started with our first plant. Hello, Miss Emily. What will we be talking about today?
Well, Terry, this morning we're going to be talking about a number of plants, and we're going to probably start with the main plant of Christmas, which is your Christmas tree.
Yes, and we have a small Christmas tree here.
We have an example of a potted Christmas tree. It's a lot smaller than what you might purchase for your home. But when you select a potted Christmas tree, one thing you want to look for if you're going to put something in your yard later is that you want to do your research. You want to make sure that you're going to select a tree that will work in your landscape and in your planting zone. And, you know, the University of Georgia, Cobb County Extension, can the horticulturalist there can help you select a tree.
Yes.
And most nurseries will tag your tree for you and keep it.
Yes.
What you want to do when you get a tree, it'll either be in a container like this, or it will be bagged in burlap. That means the root ball is in bagged in burlap.
Yes.
So what you want to do when you select that tree is you want to bring it home and you want to keep it watered. You want to about 10 days before you're ready to bring it in the house, you want to leave it in a low light area like your garage or somewhere like that. After you leave it there for a certain amount of time, then let's say about 5 days before Christmas, you can bring that tree in. You want to keep it watered, but you don't want it to sit in water.
Yes.
You bring that tree inside and decorate. It's best to use miniature lights on your tree, and that way you don't get too much heat on it. Try not to put it near a heat source like a heater vent or anything like that. And then after the holiday season, you want to bring that tree back to the garage, and you want to leave it there for about a week, unless you already have your hole ready, and then you want to take it on outside and plant it. So that's the way you would do a tree that you want to keep. So do your research, put it in a transition zone, be careful with it in the house, keep it watered at all times, and that way you'll have the most success with your tree that you're planning to plant in the landscape.
Oh, okay. Now, how do I select a tree that I can plant in my yard after the holidays?
Well, that's what we can help you with that at the university, at our University of Georgia Cobb County Extension, or you can do a little research.
What other tips do you have on potted trees?
Well, like I said, on potted trees, you want to be sure that you have the acclimation, that you acclimate the tree, and that it is ready to go inside the house, that you use the miniature lights and keep it away from a heat source.
Oh, okay. Do you have any advice on live trees?
On cut trees?
Yes.
Yes. When you get your cut tree, you want to be sure that you have cut a ½ inch or more off of the trunk. The sap runs back down, and so it can seal it up. So you want to be sure that you cut that off. And if the tree goes very long, you want to cut it before you put it in the stand. You want to cut it again. I see a lot of people take the tree home and leave it outdoors for a few days before they bring it in.
I've seen that.
And so you know, in that case, they would want to cut it once again.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's dried out a little bit from being outside.
Right.
That makes sense.
So they want to make a fresh cut.
Okay, so let me ask you, what should you do when you're ready to discard your tree?
Well, when you're ready to discard that tree, but first let me tell you a little bit about what you want to do with that tree. Once you make that fresh cut, you want to put that tree in water as soon as possible. And your stand should hold, a general rule is a quart of water per 1 inch of stem diameter.
Okay,
so if your stem is 4 inches in diameter at the bottom, then you want 4 quarts of water.
Okay, that makes sense.
And you want to keep it full, and you don't want to have to scrape the sides of your tree to make it fit into the stand.
Yeah.
Because that's just going to hurt the tree, and it won't be able to take up water.
Tree.
Right.
Yes, that makes sense.
So keep it keep it away from heat sources, because heat sources will dry it out a lot faster.
Okay.
And don't again, the best thing to do is to use the miniature lights so that you don't get too much heat.
Right.
And then to answer your question, about how to how to dispose of the tree, you can always find a recycling spot.
Yes.
That's the best thing to do. I believe that Keep Cobb Beautiful can do that for you. A lot of the retailers that sold you the tree also have those
Recycling
days where they
yes.
recycle days where they take that and they'll chip it up for you. So try to be sure that you recycle it.
I think that's really important. We see a lot of recycling, and the local TV stations here will let you know when it's time to start recycling. I think they do a big push to get everybody to recycle those trees as opposed to sitting them out for the trash to pick up.
Right, right. Now, Terry, I know you've also researched a few Christmas plants, and one of the things that you talked about was paper whites. That's a very popular plant also during the holidays. So let's look at some paper whites and see what you have on that folks might want to.
Okay, what we have here is paper white bulbs. Let me get my bulbs here. Paper whites. This is the paper white, also called Narcissi. So let me get ready here.
How do you force the bulbs to grow inside during the holidays?
Well, that's pretty easy to do. Paper whites are a really nice way to start if you want to start with bulbs. If you've never had any experience with bulbs, you just take these bulbs and you can do them one of two ways. You can do them in water or you can do them in soil. I chose to do the paper whites today in water. When you get your bulbs, this is what they'll look like. It'll be a bulb with some root here. The roots look a little dried up, but these will come back once you get them in water. So to force them, you just basically take them, and we're going to do this one in water. And we have some stones here, just a few pellets. Doesn't really matter what size. These are, medium size. So we're going to take these, put them in there, and all you have to do, excuse me, is to fill this with water up until about here. You want the bulb to sit here, right there on top. You're not trying to cover it or anything. You want it to sit right there on top. And then you're going to fill it up with water. And if you can see the roots here, fill it to about where you see those roots going. You don't want to go up above the roots, because if you do, what will happen, your bulb will start to rot from sitting in that water. And you basically take this and you sit it in a dark, cool place for a while, and those bulbs will start to come up.
Do these have to stay in a cold environment for weeks, just like other bulbs have to do?
No, they really don't. A lot of bulbs will have to go through a cold, dormant phase, but paper whites do not. You can take them and buy them today and go ahead and put them in and start them right away.
Well, where do I look for these?
Well, these can be found pretty much in any of your nurseries that are locally. We have a lot of big box stores that carry them as well. So this time of year, they're available generally, during the fall, and you can find them pretty easily. They'll be in a package, usually like this, and it'll have a picture on there and the name on the side, and you'll have quite a few bulbs. This one comes with, oh my goodness, I think about maybe 6 to 8 bulbs, so you have quite a few. We just put one bulb in here, but you can get a much wider container, and you can put all of these bulbs in here and bunch them together. Will make a really pretty effect, so it's up to you. We just took a plain old mason jar, just tied a little piece around here just to make it cute while it's growing, and that's all you have to do, and make sure that water level stays near the root.
Well, that's really nice. Do they have a scent, or is there?
Oh my goodness, yes, they have a great scent. That is the main reason why people use paper whites during the winter, during the holidays, is because it smells so good. They're very tiny blooms, but they pack a really big scent. So you'll really get a big kick out of that to smell it.
Do you think that bulb there would have just one flower?
Generally, no. It'll send up maybe 3 stalks, so you'll have a little cluster of flowers. The flowers will be pretty small, but you'll get a nice little cluster with just that one bulb.
Oh,
so you can really put these all around the house and just have it decorated, starting sometime now, and you'll just have a beautiful bouquet of flowers throughout the holidays.
Well, I look forward to having you put those out in the extension office.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so moving right along, what we have next is the Christmas cactus. That's a very, very popular plant during Christmas. So I've seen the Christmas cactus, but what is the Thanksgiving cactus? I haven't heard of that one.
Well, it's the same as the Christmas cactus, but it blooms about a month earlier. And one thing about it is it lasts up to about 8 weeks, so it's still in bloom during Christmas.
Very showy.
They're not really a whole lot different. The Christmas cactus starts blooming at Christmas.
Okay.
So there's actually a Thanksgiving cactus and a Christmas cactus. And it's a tall flowering house plant. It's not a true cactus. It's just called the cactus.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And it's native to Brazil, so it's more of a house plant.
Okay.
Than it is a cactus. So it's not something that it comes from an arid, dry area. So, and it comes in so many colors. I mean, there's red, peach, orange. I mean, pink, orchid pink.
Oh, yes, a lot of different colors, yes.
It's something that's fairly easy to take care of. If you water it only when the soil is dry, so you use your best tool for interior plants, which is this right here, your finger.
Oh, okay.
You always
Just
want to dip that in the
yes.
soil, you know. And when the soil is dry down an inch or two, then you know that it's time to water. You don't want to let anything's feet stand in water. So if the roots are standing in water, it doesn't need to be watered. So just like anything else, it likes to be fertilized in the spring and throughout the summer. And then you don't need to feed it, you know, when it gets to the colder weather.
Yeah.
But they're easy to propagate. You can break off pieces or cut off pieces and stick them in soil or stick them in water. And they will develop roots, and so you can make and you can make more.
Yes.
So you know, if your grandmother has one or someone that's special to you, you can always take a cutting and root it and have that memory too.
Oh wow, that's very nice. That's a good idea to have a memory of somebody by keeping that Christmas cactus that they had. I like that.
Exactly. We're fortunate to have someone at Extension who has Christmas cactus, and every year her Christmas cactus comes to our office.
Oh,
so
she brings it in for the
holiday. She brings it in for us for the holidays, and so this year perhaps I'll get a clipping from her.
Yeah, me too. I hope.
So, you know, if anybody wants to know more about the Christmas cactus, I found that Clemson University had a good publication, and of course also the University of Georgia has a good publication.
Yes.
So they can go to UGA.
Yes.
Extension.
UGA Publications.
Right, UGA Publications and enter Christmas cactus and find that publication there.
Right, okay, so they have that resource. If you need more information, we can definitely help you.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, you know, since your research involves, tell me if you have any information on amaryllis. I know that's used a lot during the holidays as well.
Oh, yes, I actually do. Let me get some information here for you. We'll remove our paper whites, and what we have here is the Amarilla bulb. So I'm going to show you how we pot these. When you get your Amarilla bulb, it will look something like this. Usually it will come in a box like this with some holes on the side, and this is what the bulb will look like. Sometimes the bulb is a little bigger, sometimes it's smaller, but this is a good size bulb. So what you want to do once you get this home is you want to go ahead, look at it, make sure you have a good root system here on the bottom. And once again, just like the paper whites, the root system looks a little dry, but that's okay. What you want to check for is to make sure that this is firm. So you want to kind of press it a little bit. And if it's a little mushy, you don't want to buy this one. And you also, you don't want to buy it if it's mushy, because that means that the bulb is starting to rot. So you don't want to get that one. So you want to get a nice firm bulb just like this one. And when you're selecting your Amarilla bulbs, you want to make sure that you get the largest one that you can find, because the larger the bulb, the larger the flowers will be. So the smaller bulb will produce much smaller flowers. And if you've ever seen an Amarilla, you know that it's a big, beautiful flower. And so it's very showy during the holidays. So this is what it should look like. And to pot this, you'll actually just take a pot, and this is just a plain This is just a plain pot that we got from some other plants that we had purchased. And we just, you know, fix it up a little bit with some burlap and a beautiful ribbon here that Emily made for me. I'm not good at tying those, but she is. And so we just fill this with some potting soil. And all you're going to do, once again, is take your bulb like we did with the paper whites. And I'll try and angle this a little bit. And you want to kind of put your bulb down in the soil here. Can you see that? And we're not covering the bulb up. It's not going to be covered up. We're going to have half of it in there, and we're going to put the soil up to what they call the shoulders. So we have shoulders, and the Amarilla has shoulders as well. And if you can see that, it's right up to about here. That's the shoulders, and we're going to leave this top part out because that's how it grows, because you want to be able to watch this. If you can see that there's just a little small stem in there getting ready to start, you want to watch this stem. This is where everything is going to grow from. So we already have a little bit there starting, so we know we're going to get a good bloom from this.
Can you start those in water, Terry? Just
Oh,
like
yes.
the narcissus?
Yes, you sure can. You can start these in water, or you can start them, you know, in the soil. If you want to start them in water, you want to take something like this. A glass container is just fine. And you would do the same thing you did with the other ones. You would take your pebbles, and here are our pebbles, and we would pour these out, put them in there the same way. And I'm just kind of giving you an example. I'll move this away. And you would do the same thing. Put your, of course, you wouldn't have your netting here. You want to put that in there and kind of sit it on top. And what you're looking for is for the roots to start to grow. And what will happen is it'll grow new roots. Those will kind of die off, and you'll get some beautiful new roots. And you can tell the new roots are going to be a lot wider than these.
Can you plant those outside?
Yes, a lot of people wonder that. Amarilla is actually a perennial that blooms from March until about May, depending on the variety that you get. So this is definitely an outdoor plant. We're just forcing it inside for the holidays, but you can take this outside and plant it, and it'll definitely grow. And it can tolerate some cold, so it'll do just fine. I actually had one year for Christmas, and I put mine outside and kind of forgot about it. And one day in the spring, I saw this beautiful red flower had come up, and I go, look, there's my Amarilla that I have forgotten about. So even with no attention, mine came back.
When you're finished with it during the holidays, do you cut all the green off, or when you plant it in the yard, or?
Well, if you're going to keep this and you want to keep it growing, and if you're going to put it in the yard, you really don't have to cut anything down but the stalk. You can cut that stalk down that the flower was on, and it'll be fine, and you'll just have some green foliage. And some of the foliages on these are actually very pretty. So.
Okay. Well, thank you. So they come in. How many colors do they come in?
Oh my goodness, they come in an array of colors. For Christmas, we generally like the red one, but it comes in red with a little white on the tip. It may come in with red in the outer part and white in the center. It comes in pink, salmon, so many different colors, white. There's an array of colors and an array of styles. So you can just pick one that works very well for you and your taste.
Okay.
But I like the red one myself.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry. That sounds like it looks like it's already wanting to start.
Yes,
there.
it actually is. It's actually getting started.
Yeah.
So that's two of mine, and so we also have a few more things that we're going to talk about. What about a poinsettia? One of your favorite. I think everybody knows about the poinsettia for Christmas.
And again, we could not find a live poinsettia, but I'm going to talk about it. When you purchase a poinsettia, one thing, these are this is not the bloom. These are the leaves that turn red on the poinsettia. So when you select a poinsettia, you want to be sure that you have a totally red leaves up here.
Yes.
If you go to the store and you see that it's got green around it, that's not the one that you want to select. So what we're going to talk about is selecting poinsettias. Another thing that you want to do, the bloom is actually right here. And actually this silk one has a good representation of the bloom because it's not open.
Right.
If you see a lot of pollen in here and things like that, and it's open,
yes,
then you don't want to select that one because it's already bloomed. So
I I don't think people really knew that, and I don't think people think about that when they go to select a poinsettia. They just kind of go in the store and look at one and say, I'll take that one. So how do you select a poinsettia that will last throughout the holiday season that won't wilt early?
Well, you want to be sure that it's fully foliated, for one thing.
Meaning all the...
Exactly, it's got foliage all over it.
Okay.
You don't want to select one that's been jammed in between others. Again, you want to select one where the leaves are all red at the top. Again, you want to select one that has the blooms are very nice and tight.
Tight, okay.
You know, and a lot of it has to do with care. You want to make sure there are no yellow leaves around it.
Yes, that means.
And a lot of it has to do with care. A poinsettia is a euphorbia, so that's part of the cactus family. Be sure it's very brittle, so you want to be careful when you water it. So you want to be sure that it's watered properly. I think that's the biggest mistake. When you take it from the store, you want to make sure that it has a sleeve on it. You want to make sure that it's covered. If it's below 50 degrees, don't leave it in your car. If it's
so it doesn't tolerate a lot of cold temperatures.
Not at all.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Don't put it on the front porch. Don't leave it in the car when you go into another store.
Oh, okay.
So if you're going to buy if it's really cold and windy, make sure that it's in a bag or covered in some way.
That's very good to know, because I don't think a lot of people knew that. I didn't even know that, you know, because you purchase it in the wintertime, so you think that, well, it's a wintertime plant and it'll be just fine, but actually you're saying that it has to be kept pretty warm. What is the best way to maintain the plant as you go on with it?
Well, you want to another thing is you don't want to put it near a heat source.
Okay.
Or
a
a drafty
I guess,
source
would not be a good place for it.
Right, or your heating vent.
Right, near a vent where it's been.
So you want to be careful, or even cold. You want to be careful that you don't have it in front of the doorway.
Too much cold.
Too much cold.
Okay.
I found that they sort of like neglect.
Oh,
you know?
Okay. I'm good at neglecting a plant.
You do want to check. You do want to check the soil daily. If it's in a container or in foil, you want to make sure that has some drainage.
Right.
You don't want it. So put a saucer, a clear saucer or something under that, and put holes in that foil.
Okay. Okay.
But you know, when I was in the interior scape business, we learned that poinsettias, if we watered them too much, they were just not happy.
Right.
So what we learned to do was water them with a turkey baster.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So that turkey baster gets a little more work other than that Thanksgiving.
That's right. That's right. So what we would do with one about this size, which is about a 6-inch pot, is when it needed water, we'd give it a couple of turkey basters.
Oh,
a bigger
okay.
one, we would give 4 or 5 turkey basters.
Okay.
But you want to put your tool in there and check it every day. So you want it to be a little bit on the dry side, but you don't want it to be too dry. Like I said, it's very brittle, so getting up in there is with your hand and maybe a measuring cup or something like that may break a whole piece off.
Yes, yes.
So the turkey baster sort
It's
of
the best
works.
way to get it watered. That makes a lot of sense, though, so you don't damage your plant
right.
You know, throughout the holidays. Now, let me ask you something. I've heard this for many years that they're poisonous. Is that true that poinsettias are poisonous and that we could die from them if we eat them?
Well, a lot of people worry about their pets. You know, my dog or my cat, they like to nibble on my poinsettia. And it can make them a little nauseous because it does have a milky substance that comes out.
Yes, I've seen that milk that comes out of it when you break one.
Right. But surprisingly enough, a 50-pound child would have to eat 500 leaves of a poinsettia to have a harmful effect. So studies have been done. It can make your animal, your pet, you know, we're not suggesting that your children are going to eat it.
Right.
But,
let's hope not.
Right. But if your pet nibbles on it, it's not likely they'll do more than be nauseous.
Oh, okay.
So
well, that's good to know.
Maybe they'll leave it alone after that.
Yes,
you know?
hopefully, yes.
So just keep them away so that they don't snack on your plants. And like I said, hopefully the children know not to snack on those kind of things.
Now, we've seen the red poinsettia, and we've seen some in white as well. Are there any other alternative colors that we may be able to find?
There are many, so many
Really?
I can't name them. Of course, there's the marble that we've had out for years, but they've come out with things like Jingle Bells, which is a spotted one.
Oh, I bet that's beautiful.
It's a red with pink spots, little pink spots, and more varieties than I can name.
Oh, really?
So, you know, you have a lot to choose from when it comes to poinsettias.
You just have to search a little harder. You may not see that in one store, but if you go to another store, you may be able to find different colors.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh, great, great. So that's one of the our favorite plants at Christmas time is a poinsettia. I think everybody's familiar with that, and everybody has bought one at some time. And the thing about this plant is very affordable too. You'll find them, you know, very cheaply priced, and you can go ahead and, you know, get quite a few if you need to decorate the house with. That's wonderful.
Right, right. Okay, and you have one more plant for us.
Yes, I do.
One more plant for us to see today.
I have one more plant, and it's actually not the plant that that you would get. What we're talking about is a Christmas tree rosemary plant. Now, this looks nothing like a Christmas tree here, of course, but this is a rosemary plant. Now, if you purchase, you'll see those rosemary Christmas tree plants in the stores starting probably early November. So you should be able to find them right about now. And they make a beautiful tabletop Christmas tree. And all you have to do is decorate that tree, and it'll be shaped like a tree coming down just like a Christmas tree. And if you don't want a large tree, say you have a small apartment and you're really not into a big tree, you can take that Christmas rosemary and you can kind of decorate it. All we did here was just take some. Okay, let me see. I'm just going to kind of show you how you can just wrap it around simply here to make, and that's all we basically did. And if you want to, you can also take something like this to stick it in there to give it a little bit more. The rosemary smells delicious.
Yes, you could nibble on it as well.
And there you go. And look how simple that was to do. And you just added just a little bit of decorations to that. I hope you've all learned a lot about holiday plant care. We have 2 events coming up at Extension that you can join us for. We have the UGA Cobb County Cooperative Extension Holiday Inspirations, and that's going to be on November 7th from 10 until 2. And also on November 18th, we'll have professional Christmas tree decorating demonstrations. So join us for those 2 events. Thank you so much.
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 88 children is diagnosed with autism. That's a 1,000% increase in the last 40 years. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.